objects, not just small things, not just pretty things, not just shiny things, but in fact, the social as an object of design in a certain way. I'm not apologetic for that, but definitely left out a certain line. I don't do so.
Well, what I meant was that not so much the minutiae, but for instance, since it's hard to follow all of that because it's sort of recitations of people you love, and I guess you assume everybody loves. There are other people off that list that have a very different perspective.
Sure.
There's a sort of airport book guy by the name of Samuel P. Huntington. You know Huntington?
Yeah, Clash of Civilizations character. Yeah.
I think he died recently, but he said sort of Harvard policy.
Yeah, I'm more familiar with. Yeah, I'm not.
And his argument, which is at least an interesting hypothesis, is that where we're going is not where we haven't been, but, and this is not an advocacy, this is an analysis.
Yeah.
Your advocacy conforms to your analysis. There's something you like, and you produce evidence that seems to make it come true. Mm-hmm. Huntington is a different kind of guy. I guess if he had his choices, he might argue differently, but he was less interested in arguing for something that he had an affinity for, or he loved, or he valued. He said, it's an interesting argument.
Clash of Civilizations is a pretty, there's a very clear sort of motive, a very clear judgment.
Tomorrow is yesterday.
Yeah. That I agree with. But Huntington's yesterday is definitely not mine.
Yeah, but it's not his either.
Well, it's one
your tomorrow is yours. I think I'm talking about a kind of analysis which it's like, with all respect, a Bob Stern building. Before you hire him, you know what the result will be coming out the end. And I think what interests me is a kind of journey where you don't know what's coming, which means you can't rattle off all of the evidence which ratifies your perspective, because at the beginning of the lecture everybody knows what's coming out the end. I'm not saying what Huntington says is so, but the argument is interesting. I mean, you're talking about capitalism and late capitalism and the end of capitalism, and all kinds of discussions that could take place just in terms of the jargon and what it could mean and what it might mean and what you consider information, which is the transfer of material, which may be misinformation, disinformation, irrelevant, useless, unproductive, and somewhere in all of that maybe a printed copy of Le Monde, and that might be information. And you don't make distinctions, it seems to me, qualitative distinctions that have to be made in order to deliver the characterizations you make. What I wanted to say about Huntington,
can I reply to that?
Sure.
Look, either I'm not making distinctions or I'm being ideological. Just in a way, I can't be doing both, one way or another. And frankly, the way in which it's ended is it should have been taken as ended as a series of questions, that's really what I'm offering, not a pro forma section of a to-do list in this way. These are questions.
No,
I don't know the answer to this question.
I think the ideology means you don't make the distinctions, but what you set up as a pro forma then is an argument for evidence that you produce to ratify your argument.
Right.
And any evidence that doesn't fit in that context goes unmentioned.
Endeavor, yeah. I would love to continue this discussion with you. I really appreciate your points here.
I just wanted to say one more thing about how that relates to something that I was bringing up in the literacy issue, which is that platforms, there's an interesting word that's in play here, which is platform. There's sort of system, model, platform. All of these words are about a set of dynamic interrelationships that define an approach, and that's one of the things that I was saying about the way that these software models are political in the same way that the buildings have a politics as well. And so any of these things, as they merge, the platform becomes something, the thing that you just presented was also a platform. It's an interconnected relationship of theses, in the same way that you were talking about interfaces. Obviously, that's what we're experiencing here as an interface between the platform that you're presenting and our model.
Right, and in this sense, you're thinking platform in terms of protocol, right? The way
well, also in terms of political platform.
Alex talks about protocol, but we want to look at, say, the New York City grid system that I showed as a protocol, right? And the interesting thing about protocols is that they, like the grid system, that the more stupid they are, the dumber they are, the more rigid they are, the greater life that they're able to host. And that's the simplicity. And I think this goes also to the literacy issue. There has to be a capacity of transference of substance from here to there, and the transference of substance from here to there, depending on intentions and wills that we cannot possibly predict, which is the only thing that matters, is that those programs and the protocols have to be open enough to anticipate what they cannot anticipate, and that is the point. One more? Yes?
How do you see, with open source urbanism?
Yeah.
So do you see it more as a faster understanding of histories? It's as people can change, let's say that anyone could potentially change their surrounding in a collective mass. Let's say people got together and voted for a new president.
Mm-hmm.
They changed their history, they changed their surrounding.
Right.
How do you see maybe with these applications, with these interfaces, such as even YouTube, how that could directly translate more into physical space?
Let me restart this. I would say that what you're speaking to is really the issue of governance and the transfer to governance. Right? Our governmental systems, very good governmental systems, we're happy and proud of our governmental system, but they're basically designed for a society that doesn't exist anymore in terms of who it came from. Right? A transference, a mailing away of sovereignty to a central institutional organization that produces laws that somewhere back in a certain way are going to have an effect on you in one way or another. This is sort of a macro-political system. We have micro-political models one way or another, so tactical activism, people who one way or another changing things either against the law, to the left or the right of the law, upside down of the law, or in no regard to the law whatsoever. But they are in the process of actively redesigning these superstitions. I think what's at stake in a way is the design of this, you could say, a mesopolitical layer, by which the capacities for what Hart and Negri call multitude or other forms of larger assemblages of people can in fact produce the possibility of enforcement, to be able to enforce what they have tactically developed at a sort of level, where the bottom up can in fact just that, can produce a structure that can enforce itself, right? That's not dependent upon the structure from then and there. I think what that means then is that, well, the city, just like the city instead doesn't become something, an object that would receive the work of governance, but would become a medium of self-governance in and of itself. Yeah. Well, thank you very much.